Boom. Boop, boop. Boom baka.
Racist. Look, do you think it's okay for a white?
I just don't even. I can't believe that I'm like arguing about racism.
No, but the thing is, you aren't even distinguishing between these two things. The only thing you're saying is it's okay when black people do it because we're oppressed. That's been your answer to everything we've said.
My distinguishment is that there's systemic racism. My distinguishment is that
but there's a difference between systemic racism and racism. I'm not talking about systemic racism.
I'm saying that when black people, I'm talking about systemic racism, which is like the point of what we're talking about when we talk about racism. We're talking about racism, we're not just talking about people being rude.
Well,
systemic racism, I would argue, is a lot more relevant than just people
I'm just talking
being
about
annoyed with white people.
Interpersonal racism of bias against people because they belong to groups. Look, here's a question, okay? What about a white gay person? Do you think it's okay for a white gay man to not want to be around black people?
Ooh, this is a really good question.
Yeah, maybe if there was a good example that I could think of, but it's probably racist. I don't really know the context, but probably.
Well, you don't think it's... Why would it be racist? Black people are more homophobic than white people by a pretty significant amount.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe they've had experiences growing up where they're called like a pansy by black guys, and now, you know, their bias is a product of, you know, a lifetime of oppression.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that context, like if you're a gay person and like you've been around black people and they're like been really homophobic, I think that's valid. Like I said, I can't think of, I'm sure there's exceptions to it being racist, and you just thought of one in my opinion.
Oh, yo, this chick is lost. How can you defend this woman? What? How can you defend this woman? Hey, listen, I've been bullied by black people because they say homophobic shit to me all the time. So I'm just not going to be around black people. Grow the fuck up, you loser. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck. Like, they are just justifying bigotry at this point. Hey, like, you know what? Actually, a lot of the times, women have been really shitty to me in my life. You know what? Fuck women. I'm not going to be around women anymore. They're actually just, like, not good people. Like, okay, all right. I guess we're just justifying segregating ourselves. Insane.
Okay, so I guess you think racism is...
He's only seen 90 minutes, Pepe laugh. Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's being justified in the context of oppression?
No, I don't think that racism is okay if it's in the context of oppression. I think that people have these experiences of systemic oppression, and not wanting to have those experiences anymore is valid. Like in the example of a gay person.
How do you choose that? Like, how you go about not having those experiences anymore is the racist part.
Person not wanting to be around like black people who are homophobic. I think there is a rampant issue of homophobia among a lot of black people, and it's like this person just doesn't want to face systemic oppression anymore.
Okay.
And I think
what about TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists, who many of whom are victims of sexual violence from men, and as a product of oppression they've experienced, sexism they've experienced from men, they think that trans women are infiltrators trying to break up their spaces and make them more vulnerable to assault in the future. Do you think that it's okay for TERFs to be transphobic?
No, I think that's like mischaracterizing trans people. I don't think most trans people are doing that.
I don't think most black people are homophobic, most white people are racist, or most black people are criminals. That's never been a problem before.
I think there's like a lot of issues of homophobia with black people, but I guess there are a lot of black people who aren't. So
and there are a lot of...
point is like...
And there are a lot of male-bodied people who attack women.
There's a gay person who like doesn't want to experience homophobia and is like, I've experienced homophobia a lot, and they want to avoid that situation. I think it's really different than like a person who doesn't want to interact with people because like they think that like all black people are thugs based on a stereotype.
But what about the wait? It's not a stereotype that people who are assigned male at birth are way more likely to engage in sexual violence against women. That's not a stereotype at all. That's a mathematical fact.
No, I'm talking
borne out in
about the
data.
stereotype of black people being thugs. Like,
No, I know,
there's
but-
all these stereotypes that people have about black people, not from knowing them.
No,
And I
right,
think if someone wants to like avoid a situation where like they could be homophobic, experience homophobia, like I can understand that.
So, but are TERFs justified then? Because their bigotry is a product of a lifetime of sociological oppression against them from, for the most part, male-bodied people. So they take that and they internalize that and they beam that back out at everyone who's male-bodied.
Are you
trans
saying
women
that?
and
Are you
cis men.
saying that? But like, is the demographic of people that they're experiencing violence from trans people?
Well, in the past, you haven't cared about how likely it is that you experience any of the group stereotypes that you're assigning. You've just said that it's okay as long as the bias is a product of sociological oppression.
Okay, sorry. We're done with this because I just remembered. As much as I do love this conversation and like showing how stupid some people can be, we need to remember why we got here, okay? And that's because this guy said that chick said absolutely nothing wrong. Insanity. We didn't even see the worst of what she said, by the way.
And it proves my point because within the first 5 minutes, it's Vosh who brings up genocide.
And it seems like the fundamental bones are pretty similar. And then when you get into the logistics of creating an ethno-state, there's not really any way to do that without genocide, you know? Like, take South Africa, right? I mean, it's all well and good to talk about living free of your oppressors, but when you break apartheid in South Africa, there are millions of white people living in that country. Like, what do? Do you just, like, ship them all out? Do you build camps? I mean, it seems like this logic always leads down a really bad road.
And Vosh keeps returning to it as Professor Flowers tries to over and over again explain the difference between genocide and anti-colonial violence, something she also did in several follow-up videos as she was being attacked by this community.
When I say that people don't have to live with their oppressors, that is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about ethno-states. Ian is. Many people believe that this sentiment is actually about white genocide or white ethnic cleansing. I believe that Ian brought up the concern for white genocide because I had mentioned Kenya reclaiming businesses. There are a number of African countries who did this after colonialism because most of the wealth and power was still owned by the colonialists. In other words, even though colonialism had ended in title, it still had ongoing effects in wealth, power, and resources. So there are ways that the post-colonial governments took that power back. Again, this doesn't have to do with retribution, it has to do with power imbalances and attempts to move toward greater equity. In these instances, when a given state takes back businesses, at times the countries who colonize that area stop having access to resource extraction, and sometimes the colonists running these industries leave. However, the ongoing effects of colonialism are still massive issues in post-colonial African countries. My main point is that fixing these problems by way of expropriation is not an ethnic cleansing, as I've seen people argue.
This wasn't about accountability. This was a public shaming effort,
Ooh.
and really much worse than that. For half a year, Professor Flowers experienced.
And then she brought all of that up instead of the talk. And you want to know what happened? Ian said, what if they don't leave? What if they don't give up the businesses? What if they don't, what if they want to stay? What about their children? And she's like, I don't know, dude. If they don't want to leave, if they don't want to give up their power, they don't want to give up their land, their property that they took as colonizers, then I don't know what to say, man. Who am I to say what's right and wrong? That's what happened.
Non-stop harassment, leaving her in a deep suicidal depression, not just on the way she was treated, but also on how it affected like her work and worldview.
If you get in a suicidal depression because of mean words online, bro, you shouldn't be online. I'm fully blackpilled on this take. If you're getting in a deep suicidal depression of it, you should not be online. Just log off. It's not good. And if you are gonna be online, do not ever, if you have like suicidal depression over this, never, ever even think about ever talking about politics. Why would you talk about politics if you're going to get a deep suicidal depression over people disagreeing with you and thinking that you're wrong or thinking that you're problematic? Why the fuck would you ever talk about politics? Oh my God. Oh no. Come on, man. Let me out, dude. Let me out. Ah, that sucks. Alright, that really sucks. I didn't think that would be radiated all the way up there.
Her. It took other white leftists, white male leftists, coming forward to stem the tide of harassment,
My Discord,
which is incredibly sad. And I feel guilty that
hilarious advice from to guys from Destiny. Just clipped it. Let's take a look.
Most girls can take way more than I think guys think when it comes to fingering. Because when guys finger girls, they're doing this thing. They're trying to be like really gentle. And most girls want you to like, I don't know if you've ever tried to start a lawnmower. I don't know if they have push buttons now, but they want like, you gotta be like fucking like going at it. Because that's usually what it takes to make them like have a good orgasm or to squirt if you're trying to do that. But
yeah,
I wasn't one of those voices early on to participate in that. And this, of course, led to them being attacked and harassed for weeks and months on end. But again, just to illustrate the craziness, this debate happened in September of 2021. And way later in February of 2022, I made a video on Black love, not at all really connected to leftist political ideas and issues. And I decided I would have Professor Flowers read one line in it. Do you know these motherfucking Vosh stands jumped in my comment section with the nerve to tell me that they were disappointed in me for associating with her? These people committed her voice to memory just so they could police her presence on my channel. Much like with DJ Mule, they were trying to hold me accountable to their community and their sensibilities, which of course I didn't. But let's force.
Why wouldn't they? Is this guy fucking stupid? Like, why would they not? This results in a better world. What is the implication? Okay, that if I believe that somebody is like pro-genocide, that and people like from that point forward are not. I actually want to know what this guy's position on J.K. Rowling is. J.K. Rowling associating with so many like transphobic people. I want to know what his position is there. Because guilt by association is bad, but guilt by endorsement is something entirely different. Right? When you have somebody that's gone through some pretty steep controversy and then you have them on your program without like going like, hey, look, I condemn this kind of action. This isn't really what I believe in. Yeah, obviously you're going to get questions. Obviously. Because you just had somebody who's incredibly controversial on your program without even saying like, hey, this is the reason why I'm having them on. Oh, they're Freedom. I thought they were Renegade. I was like, what the fuck? I'm about to shoot you. They look like they were Renegade.
Second, imagine, right, that Professor Flowers did do some real harm here. Let's imagine for a moment that we live in a world where white South Africans have to worry about being ethnically cleansed and don't control 95% of the wealth in the nation they colonize even after decolonization efforts that have happened in that nation, and that Professor Flowers was somehow irresponsible in her language. The ensuing harassment campaign was for what purpose? What lesson was to be learned there? What goal could people possibly...
And who guided that? Because as far as I'm concerned, the communities that were responsible for having these debates and these conversations with this individual, they did just that. Had the conversations and discussions with the individual. Nothing more, nothing less. They just were like, hey, look, you know, this and that, and, you know, this might not be cool. This might be cool. Like, here's how I feel about this. And they moved on. They said that, like, hey, look, you have some pretty problematic views. Like, yeah, that's kind of fucked. And then they moved on. They didn't do a thing where they were like, hey, you know what? We should go through and we should tell Professor Flowers that they're subhuman every single fucking day. That's not what's happening. Huh? They're not telling their audience to DM her. That's not what's going on. The results of what's happening to Professor Flowers is what happens when you talk about extremely divisive politics. You knew the game when you got into it, and if you didn't, you shouldn't have been in the game in the first place, and nobody else is to blame but yourself. You only have yourself to blame. What did you think was going to happen when you talk about like genocide? When you talk about incredibly in-depth topics about like whether or not colonizers should be mass deported from the countries that they are in? What did you think was going to happen? You think that you were just going to agree to disagree and you were going to walk away and nobody was going to call you names? Bullshit. Then you're naive. You're a child. Like, grow the fuck up. I'm not going to spend my time trying to shelter somebody from the decisions that they made. I got a person out there, deep. What is that, about 100? What do they look like to you? They just look like a fucking speck of dust at this range. Got the FMJs loaded. I'm not sure if they're bandits or what. They appear to be wearing white clothing. Probably not Monolith. There's like no way they're this deep south. Looks like they might be a loner.
We have been pursuing. Was it really trying to hold her accountable?
Oh, they're military.
And change her ideas or critique them? Or was it to protect tribal interests and exert power over someone and save a small man's ego? Pulling it forward to DJ
Am I at
Mule
war with
was...
military? Am I fighting military? I guess I am, because he turned around on me like I was an enemy. Relations, clear sky. Yeah, that guy's an enemy. Glitzed him too. Hold up, I hear a person up ahead. Not sure if they're inside of the compound. This is a really good gun. That gun condition is phenomenal. Let's save while we can. Hold on. Jesus Christ, look at how good this gun is. This condition is very, very good. Yeah, I got very good weapons on me, on hand. Yeah, let's use this. Alright. Want to repair my armor. Sorry. It can't be both. At least you let him know what it was about when he popped. Yeah.
The hours
like, yo, what's
and
up, buddy?
hours of anti-DJ Mule content for this figure with, again, less than 10,000 subscribers. Was that to make the left a better place and defend Xander Hall from personal attacks? Or was it to finally claim a sense of justifiable retribution against the woke scolds that have been looking down on that community for years now?
To this, because they are very bored and they don't have much content. And so we, you know, the drama that they create with us becomes their content farm. And so they're looking for ways that they'll hope for you to mess up, because that's more engagement for them specifically.
True.
So that's what they're all
Actually
looking
not
for.
false.
And that's why Demon Mama went hard on me and was like, he's an abuse apologist, blah, blah, blah. Because they're all looking for their
Demon
Vorsh
Mama
moment.
had that.
Like Xander Hall's looking for it all the time.
Demon Mama had that take. Yo, more respect to Demon Mama. Let's go. Unlikely dub from Demon Mama there. I didn't know that she had that take. Glitzed him. Okay. Wow, that hurt. Can someone please get me a violin? Yeah, sure. Come on. Come on now. Come through. Come on. Let's go! Pussy! The other guy bleed out? There's one more guy in here. Where'd he go? Where are you? Where are you? You around the side over here, buddy? Where is he? There was another guy, isn't there? Oh shit, I'm in the radiation. My bad. Oh boy, that was a
You can see it in
glitched
his
gun.
content. You can see it. He's like, you know, all these guys have got Zanderhal derangement syndrome. It's no longer Vorst derangement syndrome. It's Zanderhal derangement syndrome. And it's
But here's a twist, and something I want those of you who have enjoyed this section thus far, I really want y'all to hear. The debate streamers in that drama-oriented vein may be a problem, and I tend not to be a fan, but they're not unique, and they aren't the only problem. And I tried to say this before, and I don't think people got it, so I'm gonna say it again. The toxic behavior in that community isn't isolated to their space. And more than ever, I'm realizing now, the fact that we've relegated this type of toxic behavior to be indicative of a problem within mostly that community is a huge problem and a significant misunderstanding of accountability as a whole.
That's cool, Cypher.
In fact,
Because I
just
think
to
that
put my
really
money
needs
where
to
my
be
mouth
added.
is, despite the popular narrative, I have not for a while been much of an anti-debate guy. In fact, when most anybody says they're anti-debate bro, I feel like they're really only talking about 2 or 3 people and their general fan bases, which is shared around between them. By the way, for those of you in the political streamer community who seem to be frustrated that nobody brings you up when it's time to complain about debate bros, this is why. We're not talking about y'all. Sorry, I would think it's a compliment that you haven't been toxic enough to get complained about. But if that offends, I apologize. It's never been about the small dozen or so creators who may or may not be shitty, but still have all the aesthetics. It's been about a handful of bigger streamers who, along with being prone to shitty behavior, also happen to have their communities attack people who critique them. I'm getting off subject. I really don't like these motherfuckers, so I can't stop critiquing them. What I'm trying to say is that debate good, actually. And I'm not going to retread all the reasons why I've said this in the past. I'll leave a really good video that explains why I think that, you know, in the description. But beyond defending the concept of debate and political streaming, let's go back to the concept of harassment and the accountability myth. Let's go back to the real purpose of public shaming as I see it. What were you canceled for?
Well, I think that there have
Oh,
been
Merrick.
3 distinct waves of people deciding that they just absolutely hated my guts. I had gone to a protest. I had gone to a protest with a combat army medic, and I had gone to learn on the ground with her and another girl who had issues with me, and who had been, you know, kind of telling some lies and, you know, kind of stirring some drama online. She was invited there, and she heard me kissing someone in the hotel room that I had bought for us, and
Let's go,
she went
nigga!
online to say that I had been having sex in the bed next to her and that I had sexually harassed her with, by doing that. Okay, not that I think there's a big difference between being rude and being a sexual predator. I know there's an ocean between like being rude in a way that it's like, okay, that's like kind of PDA, and you're like being a bad hotel roommate, right? So there's a big difference between that and like you triggered someone's sexual PTSD and you're a sexual predator. Like, these are different sports.
I had a few conversations with Merrick before this one, usually discussing how I made video essays and issues around the manosphere. And when the drama with DJ Mule unfurled, she reached out to me to hopefully cut through the usual tribal nonsense to get me to see what I couldn't see from my perspective. And in that conversation, I also learned about her experiences with being harassed.
Are you
and
serious?
canceled, again, within the online
serious?
leftist community. In some of the most
fucking
prominent
kidding me?
online leftist spaces and discourses, Merrick, another super small creator with minimal impact, was being targeted for continual online harassment.
No, so someone photoshopped my YouTube page and someone cut up clips of a YouTube video of mine. That was actually me explaining another drama I'd been involved in. And they decided that they were going to frame me for the Nashville bombing hours after it happened. And it was boosted by a bunch of leftist, communist, anarchist accounts on Twitter. People in my real life were finding my...
Hold up. Is this true? Is this fucking true? What? Wait, can somebody fact check that for me? Is that true? Homie, there's no... Wait, what? Yo, what? That's crazy. Are you joking? Jesus Christ. Well, okay. Wow, nothing useful. Really cringe that I don't get anything useful this time. Yeah, I gotta go the
small
long
personal
way.
Facebook and Instagram accounts and being like, who are you? What the fuck? Why did you do this? Fuck you. And I was like, whoa. I didn't even know it had happened yet. And my inboxes were being flooded with people being like, do you know about this? Do you know that when I Google this terrorist attack, you come up? So, yeah. I saw this rumor that I have sex with dogs because I rescued a dog. I think a lot of people aren't doing it on purpose, and every nasty little hate comment or every new rumor, like, it's all just one person, right? But when you see 100 of those a day, right after the Nashville bombing stuff happened, there was a tweet about me that went viral that said, if you ever feel bad for Merrick DeVille, don't. And remember that she used a Black Lives Matter protest. She went to a Black Lives Matter protest and didn't do anything, didn't help anyone, promoted her OnlyFans, and was told never to come back.
Based.
Don't feel bad for anything that happens to her.
Is
None
that
of that's
true?
Nothing like that ever happened.
Okay. You
I
say
am
so.
not in community with Merrick. I don't know what dirt Merrick may have in her background, what specific thing that people latched on to decide that she would be public enemy number one. I'm sure Merrick has done X amount of horrible things that I did not know about, but nothing in my head makes her deserve some of the things she's talking about experiencing. If a fraction of what she's described is real, I don't see how any of this shit is justified. And just as with DJ Mule and Professor Flowers, why all this smoke for a small creator with minimal impact on the community? And notice now, it's not just debate bros, but everybody seems to be real comfortable targeting queer men, women, people of color, and sometimes all three. And you can't blame her harassment experience.
Then what about Hassan? He later has Hassan come on the stream. Am I supposed to believe that Hassan doesn't receive his fair share of like online bullying? Listen, as much as I like to say that Hassan loves playing the victim, he absolutely gets shit on relentlessly online. What about Hassan? Literally the picture of like patriarchy fucking benefits. He's a cis straight white dude who has like he's rich. He has every single benefit that the world could offer a man. And he gets relentlessly shit on. Primarily because he deserves it, but he gets relentlessly shit on. That's crazy, nigga. That's crazy, bro.
Experience on the debate streamer community.
Like the stream. Pump it, juice the numbers.
In fact, it was that community in particular who eventually came to her rescue while she was being harassed. So, debate bros good, actually?
So the only reason that I'm like, I think as okay as I am right now, the only reason I still have a presence online is because of Xander Hall, actually. And one of the reasons why I think it's really, really hard for me to see Vosh and to see Xander Hall as these evil people is because when, like, it's like the terminally online, like, you probably are not even familiar with this group of Twitter users. They're like super terminally online, like communist, irony poisoned. They're like the podcast crowd of like shit posters on Twitter. It was a lot of those people that decided they really hated me.
A larger defense squad, for you, it must be unbearable. I really do hope that things get better soon, and I'm not trying to make this some like victim wah type thing, but like, nobody should be forced to experience the kind of stuff that you've experienced. It's ridiculous, but we can't even talk about it. You'll get made fun of just for talking to me, and I'll get called a simp just for sympathizing with you.
There is value in community, even if it's not mine or
How do I repair
not
a barrel?
one I want to associate with. Shit is
What the
hard
fuck is that?
out there. If folks find like watching a debate streamer play Dark Souls and react to something Ben Shapiro said gets them through the day, do that shit. Like, do that shit for real. It's a net positive that helps people. And it's positive that there's this maybe imperfect form of leftist rhetoric being introduced to 14-year-olds watching Twitch. Also, despite the numerous bad moments from many within this space, and especially their fans, there's something to say about this space being very pro-trans
What the
in
fuck?
ways
Did
that
you
some
just shoot me,
leftists and
bitch?
definitely a lot of liberals can't seem to muster. And they platform trans creators, and there's an outsized trans audience in some of these spaces because of that. So clearly this space exists for a reason. It's not just a bunch of edgelords using the R slur, poorly arguing around leftist issues and playing video games. But that's how they're often viewed, and generally speaking, painted only by the worst of whom they share community with. Those who just consume the content passively, much like I might in old Max
Dude,
Landers
are you
video,
serious?
will get snared with the worst of what that community does. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not like a lot of these people, and especially the major figureheads within that community, for reasons I think should be obvious at this point, but I don't think it's a substantive critique to pretend like there's no value in this space. And I'm suspicious as to why that sentiment has become so popular among people who would consider themselves people that analyze things critically. Like, one thing you'll notice as an outsider is that for all the complaining that is done about the most prominent people within this space, they also receive a massive amount of hate and pushback outside of their tribe. The same way I've seen people randomly jump into the subtweets of DJ Mule or Professor Flowers or myself just to throw shots, I've also seen that happen to Vosh. In fact, Vosh gets so much ridiculous hate that within his community, it's a running joke. Like, it's a running joke that Vosh is actually a CIA plant meant to derail the radical potential of Breadtube, which is laughable on multiple levels. There's also lots of accusations that Voss is, I'll say, a pig. If you
Jesus
catch what I'm
Christ, that
getting
is
at
dank.
there, you know, trying not to get this demonetized. Now, this is because Voss has said some ridiculous things about Pedialyte drinking in the past.
It is possible for an adult and a child to have a relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible.
And nobody should be saying those types of things publicly and expecting not to be seen as a weird guy. But I gotta be honest, though this may seem controversial, I don't think Voss drinks Pedialyte. The reality is that a lot of people within that community talk about Pedialyte in a way that many would find repulsive, but within community, it's just kind of a thing they do. And trivializing the nature of child predators or CIA targeting is kind of shitty, actually. And like, let me remind you who the CIA usually targets in spaces like this. But Vosh is hated on the right, on the left, and even by members of his own community. His name trends all the time. I've seen people post that his name trends so much that it's burned the graphic trending Vosh into their phones. And I'm gonna be real, I don't know how he handles that. I had a hard time with the
That sounds more like an issue.
extent where I had to see my face all over my feed with attacks and response videos. But like literally, Vosh gets one of those a month for the last couple of years.
So right now, being a normie is actually a detriment. Autism pilling is actually the height of sexual success. Yeah.
This site basically allows its users to learn about anime. There's nothing necessarily bad with that.
In order for that to proceed smoothly, you'll need something called good
Maybe you should try
faith.
something else.
Shut up, bitch.
Not something I'd have chosen for myself, but hey, whatever gets you going.
Stupid fucking bitch.
And the thing that's most frustrating is that many of these videos are these sensational, exaggerated attacks on him that call him a Pedialyte drinker.
Wait,
and
Cypher, are you
CIA
still here?
operative, and obfuscate the real critiques on Vosh and give him rooms to dismiss stuff outright. Like, y'all, Vosh isn't a Pedialyte drinker. Stop calling him that. He's a racist.
Nice.
Focus on that. It's really easy to prove, and it should
Easy
be
to
all you
prove.
need. Is the stuff we know not enough? There's a reason people don't focus on that, and I'll come back to it later. I remember after the drama he had with American Johnson and Cat Black and ContraPoints. Also, like, this is within his never-ending drama with Destiny, who has like a larger community, and they are like always attacking each other. You can see there's a lot of drama involved with this guy. It was the drama with Noah Sampson, which came somehow before and after a lot of this. All the drama that I'm speaking of, for a moment, maybe this is me projecting, I feel like I saw it on his face when he talked to Noah Sampson on stream.
Harass me because it makes me out to be the instigator, the eternal arbiter of harassment, who can never ever have too much done against them. I do think a lot of it is a narrative-based thing. The issue is that a lot of people do view me as some kind of big bad, scary antagonist, a person who's representative of the rot in the online left, and also because people constantly talk about this alleged harassment from my community, a person who mobilizes this massive wave of hate that people will get after.
Several months later.
All right, thank you guys. Keep it up though. Don't get complacent. The more of you are in the replies being like, that's not what's happening right here. Like, this is necessary, okay? Publicly
That's
shame
not-
her into
Oh, I remember that.
changing her mind on this. Move you
I
off
remember
this
that one. I
site
remember that
and
one. That was an
into-
L. That was an L.
I don't want to bring up the substance abuse.
I've heard and seen a few times people refer to Debate Bros as the new alt-right. Initially, I agreed with this uncritically. They're definitely
The new alt. Could you imagine having such little problems in your life that you label Debate Bros as the new alt-right? Holy shit! You live the most coddled, air-conditioned, fucking central heating life I've ever heard in my entire. Oh my god, man, you are. I'm sorry, man. Can I get you a lozenge? Holy fuck, homie, what are you doing? Come on now. Shit. All right. Lord Almighty. Really wish I got the mission to. I'm sure there
cut
was
from the
one
same
to
cloth
clear
and
those out.
occupy many of the same spaces online. They definitely participate in harassment campaigns against people they don't like. But what I'm starting to realize is that Debate Bros aren't the alt-right. They're not that bad. Instead, they're really controlled
Tomfoolery and
opposition.
chud.
In a post-Trump world where figures like the Quartering or Armored Skeptic are no longer relevant, and one of the OGs of the anti-SJW world, the Amazing Atheist, has kind of turned over a new leaf, plus guys like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson being outside of the sphere where you can kind of farm content, some of the most valuable figures for the attention economy are Debate Bros. I know for a fact that if I put Vosh's face on the thumbnail for this video, it will get more clicks. I know this Because last April, I put his silhouette in my April Fool's thumbnail, and that shit hit 1 out of 10 by a wide margin until people realized it was a prank. I know this because I get so many emails and comments and tweets asking me to talk to Vosh or talk about Vosh and other debate bros. And since the beginning, before when I first had 100,000 subscribers, this was people saying, FD, choose a side. And obviously I chose not to side with debate bros because I don't like them. But they're not monsters. Neither is Merrick. Neither is Professor Flowers. Neither is Hassan. Neither is DJ Mule. Neither is Rewired Soul for that matter. But we overstate the possible badness of these figures to justify treating them inhumanly. We call it accountability, but that's not really what we're talking about 90% of the time.
I think it is.
People make it seem like you're a bad person, you're a villain, you're immoral. They have to moralize their content consumption, and they have to also moralize like the kinds of content that they don't like. And this is
this is hilarious coming from Hassan, considering that's what he says about literally everything. The reason why I'm watching 17 hours of MasterChef today is because, morally speaking, it's perfectly fine. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and me stealing millions and millions of dollars of their content and just repurposing it for my brand is because, they're a big corporation. Yeah. I mean, the reason why I can't talk to any of these smaller content creators who have issues with me is because, you see, it would be unethical because they're clearly trying to do it for my attention in the attention economy. Yeah, and, like, I can't have that happen. Otherwise, like, everyone's just gonna throw shit at me. So I'm good. Like, bro, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, I promise.
Ironic because this is a very liberal tendency, because liberals have no way of doing materialist analysis. It's antithetical to their worldview, and therefore they like to harp on cultural signifiers. And ironically, that's why you get this, like, my consumption is saying something about my morals. That's why I'm consuming good things and not bad things. That's why there's so much cultural analysis. And not in like a Gramscian sense, but instead in more so like why is there a bad character in this new movie that's doing bad things, but he looks kind of cool, which is almost like this puritanical 90s era, anti-video game, anti-violence momentum that you're seeing both from the left and
what the fuck is he talking about? Is he saying this like about, what do you mean? I swear to God, I could literally find right now a clip of Hassan saying there are people being propped up inside of media of like people appearing to be the heroes or looking cool while doing incredibly bigoted actions, and this is a problem with our current state of media. I can guarantee you I can find a clip of that. Why is he acting like this is a liberal analysis? What? Ahrelevant, what GPU do you have? I have a 2070 Super. Also, how do I repair barrels? Cypher, how do I repair barrels?
Right, because no one has any grasp on systemic change or how to do it, how to accomplish it. So there is no, like, people don't have the capacity. They understand the systems are oppressive. They see they experience the contradictions, even if they don't recognize it personally, or like they don't see exactly what it is. And there's this sense of unease, but they also kind of understand that systemic change is really difficult to achieve, impossible as a matter of fact. So they just pick apart like whatever they can and just hyper focus in these like little communities that they've created on the internet, and all of it revolves around consumption. It's never about like genuine moves. It's never about like,
it's about who you watch. What does who you watch say about you? We'll say stuff like they're harmful to the left or to social movements, which maybe is true to an extent, but to what extent? DJ Mule, again, less than 10,000 followers. Professor Flowers, less than 30,000. Xander Hall, less than 100,000. Vosh has over 400,000 subscribers. When you look at the view counts of his content on YouTube, he rarely breaks half of that. I don't think he's done it but once or twice in the last couple of years, and one of those is the video with Professor Flowers. 75% of his community, at least on YouTube, has checked the fuck out because he's kind of like the entry point for a lot of people until they figure out, you know. So it's not much about the spreading of bad ideas either. But I'm sure some will try to say for whichever one of those figures.
Are we really trying to... What a bizarre thing for him to just say there. So he's trying to say Vosh isn't super popular because, like, and you can see it in his view counts relative to his subscriber counts, because people go into his stream, realize like he's a weirdo or something, and then stop watching him. Then what does that mean about DJ Mule and Professor Flowers, who have just low sub counts and low view counts? Are they just losers? Like, is that the argument then? They're just losers? Like, what does that say about your people then?
Подходи, Stalker. Для таких, как ты, у меня всегда есть кое-что интересное.
It's a bit complicated. Either have to have the barrel in your inventory and ask a technician to use the vise, then open the vise, then click on the gun. You'll see the specs for the parts and swap the barrel. Or if it's above 60%, you can buy the rifle cleaning kit from the technician, right-click the gun, maintain the gun, and clean the barrel. Can I not use a ramrod? I thought that's what the ramrod was used for.
Стой! Сейчас туда нельзя.
Hold on. I need post here. Oh, I'm gonna go.
In that list that they hate the most, that is not about some tribal behavior. It is about accountability and the spreading of bad ideas and setting an appropriate example for the community. That these various communities have the right and the necessity to protect themselves in their spaces. Which
also something I forgot to say on Twitch, and I'll just say here, Wheat Waffles got back to me with the rating. Okay. Well, yeah, Wheat Waffles got back to me, so we're gonna be making a YouTube video about the rating, my thoughts on it, shit like that. Coming soon. Okay, coming soon. And I will give one hint to the people here who are watching right now, as to just as a little bit of a treat for you watching the content as early as you have been. It is lower than what I expected. Let's just put it that way, okay? And then I'll go into it. I'll do the top to bottom. We'll talk about it. Talk about my thoughts on it. It'll be a quick video. Because I want to start making curated YouTube videos, but I want them to be like super quick. Like I want them to be like 5 minutes long. Really quick videos, nothing too crazy, something you could just watch while you're like waiting for the bus or something, you know what I'm saying? That's what I want. You aren't looking at it live? Nah, we're gonna be doing I want to start making more YouTube content. It's a good thing to make a YouTube video out of. It'll be fun. Doesn't Crazy owe you $25? I think Crazy owes me $25. Yeah, I think they do. Pay up, homie. Pay up, pay up, pay up, pay up, pay up, pay up, pay up. Give me a sec.
Sometimes means making an example out of transgressive behaviors within and outside of community. And I agree with that to an extent. But without a critical eye on this behavior, we all have created not so much a cancel culture, right, as is often employed by conservatives, but definitely a culture where we incentivize outrage. It gets us clicks, it gets us likes, it gets us clout and attention. And because it's so closely tied to identities within these communities and dissension within the community is dangerous, we have little to no critical framework on our own behavior and whether or not we're doing the right thing a lot of times. All the analysis of problems gets edited out the discussion. We just want to keep community intact. And what that does is prime us for doing too much and really being manipulated sometimes by people who know this about us and know this pattern and know how to use this outrage. And they'll use it at a minimum to keep our wheels spinning, or at worst, to even get us to attack our own.
Take accountability.
So the first question I guess I want to ask, and I'm going to ask this to everybody, is why were you canceled?
That one's a hard one because it's so, it's difficult for me to talk about this without being like, I'm the real victim here. And that's what always happens. And you always have to approach it with nuance because you can't say you never did anything wrong.
So if you've watched my content, you may have heard me talk about Lindsay Ellis a couple of times. If you're familiar with LeftTube,
Isn't it Lindsay Ellis? I don't know who that is.
YouTube, a lot of other areas you're familiar with Lindsay Ellis, but to kind of
I recognize
give a
their
brief
face.
intro,
I just
Lindsay
don't.
Ellis is a pretty iconic figure, both on LeftTube, but also like in YouTube as a whole. She helped pioneer this style of content. She was a big influence on mine. One of, I guess, the few influences that aren't overtly toxic, clearly, but also just like my other influences, Lindsay was canceled a couple of years ago. But understanding Lindsay's cancellation from a couple of years ago and looking back at it with hindsight is the most like potent evidence that this holding people accountable, the accountability myth that I've been talking about, is incredibly flawed and hard to make sense of under any type of heavy scrutiny.
I made a tweet observing that the Disney movie, which came out in 2021, Raya and the Last Dragon, was structurally very similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender, and observed that maybe we should have a name for this sort of genre of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Put a like on the
knockoffs.
video.
Because that structure in fantasy, particularly YA fantasy, had become very popular over the last 10 years. People saw this tweet and read into it that I was implying that the comment about genre was in reference to the fact that both of these two properties are Asian inspired, despite the fact that they are both made by Western megacorps. So I was very confused by this. I got defensive. That made it worse. And
What does this have to do with
realized
drama
that
farming?
Twitter was a big problem, both for me and was also kind of enabling this harassment campaign. And so I deleted my Twitter, and that made it even worse.
Bro, I just, man, I need to engagement farm, dude. The problem is, like, I genuinely just don't really care about, like, people thinking that I'm, like, wrong unless they actually provide me, like, a interaction, good, legitimate reasons to give a fuck about their opinion. Like, so I just tend to not really care if people call me, like, names or whatever online. But that's also, like, fucking perfect for online right now. Like, that's a perfect, like, position to have. Because that means I can pick fights with, like, anybody and everybody 24/7 and have it not affect my mental health at all, which is the perfect way to grow, is to constantly do that. Just like put my opinions out there, just fucking screaming from the rooftops. Once I get like thousands of people giving me hate, just don't care. Just play video games or talk to my family, not give a fuck. Man, I'm just so fucking lazy though. I don't want to do that. Like, I really should be, like, on Twitter, fucking screaming my opinions, and shit like that, but I really just, it sounds so tiring. I just don't care. But yeah, I really should, because this shit doesn't matter to me at all. They're like, after the, after my debate with Vosh, I think it was called, like, 20 racial slurs. I don't blame Vosh or Vosh's community at all. I literally just blame random fucking schizoids that are probably either hate watching Vosh or just fucking weirdos. Like the way that I look at it is like, does the person I was debating encourage this kind of behavior? No. Do they tacitly endorse it? Are they like in a way? No. Then it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I don't care. They're not endorsing the behavior or anything. It's not their responsibility to like tell their community to stop doing this. It's probably not even coming from their community. And any statement like that is probably going to increase the relevancy of that happening. So like, I don't know, nor do I really care. I've been called like racial slurs my entire life. Do you think it matters when it's written out on a DM? Like, I don't know, that shit's insane. Like, doxing and stuff is serious. That's serious stuff. Like, I understand people being worried about that, like physical threats to violence and stuff. But like this online woo-woo bullying shit, I don't know. I don't know, but this isn't to say Lindsay Ellis is out of pocket for this shit. I literally have no idea about the Lindsay Ellis situation. Like I said, I just am figuring out who this person is for the very first time. I'm just saying that, like, in general, man, fucking online bullying really doesn't matter. Man.
And so once I deleted my Twitter, I started trending, and people used this opportunity to drag out every perceived wrong I had ever done. It just kind of snowballed from there.
I went back and searched to see who were the people who were really going hard on Lindsay Ellis and
I'm curious
what exactly
what
it is
too.
that they were saying. And the first thing I noticed is that I found relatively little compared to what I remembered seeing when this was all happening. What I did find that was still there that was negative barely engaged with the fact that all of this drama with Lindsay started with a relatively mild take on an animated movie that to this day few people care about and few people have actually even seen. If you want to be kind of uncharitable, you can definitely consider Lindsay's tweet to be a microaggression. Like many people with certain privileges of perspective, Lindsay didn't think enough about how her words might be construed differently from someone else's perspective.
Let's see
it was
the tweet.
also in the middle of a wave of hatred against Asian Americans during COVID. So tensions around any topic involving Asian people
yeah, that's
were
not
high.
good timing.
But it
That's not good
still
timing.
didn't quite make sense of the totality of what happened here. Folks who clearly must have been waiting for this moment crafted a whole dossier or an outline of everything that Lindsay had done from this moment going back like a decade, including content from a very different era of YouTube that didn't age all that well. And in isolation, many of these moments over the years deserve critique and discussion as a part of how many people, myself included, contributed and participated in harmful acts to other people through regressive behavior that we had been conditioned to engage in. Had that been the core of the critique, it wouldn't have been as bizarre and like wild of a thing to witness. And while, to be fair, there were definitely important conversations being had around this particular issue during this, you know, feeding frenzy of public shaming, the main thing being done was narrative building and exaggeration of harm, much like I described for DJ Mule or Professor Flowers or even for Vosh, because that is really what this is all about.
Like all of the people who were jointly
These bandits? What are
hopping
these?
in on that dog pile were like, well, the ends justify the means. And in my case, it was just like, who do you think has been keeping tabs on all this? Who do you think has been keeping these narratives alive? You know, stuff, not the more recent stuff, but stuff from like 5-10 years ago. You know, it's not Tumblr teens. It's, you know, it's Kiwi farms. And once you are like in this narrative of like, I'm joining in on this dog pile for justice reasons, you know, not because it's fun and not because I find it personally gratifying, but it's for justice. Then like whenever, you know, this thing of like, well, who is the type of person that keeps these receipts?
Lindsay's public shaming illustrates the type of exaggerations that we let pass as substantive critiques as long as it means that we can run with our particular tribe and we get the catharsis of public shaming. It shows why we don't bother with substantive critiques of certain figures and go straight for everyone is a pedophile or an abuser, or a Nazi. We pick those images because those images don't often really require much analysis or explanation. And to attempt to side with a person that has been effectively labeled with those images is to then open yourself up to public shaming, which then flattens any and all possible discourse and any and all possible actual accountability that might come from that situation. But we really don't care because it gets us the drama we actually want. And so because of this, DJ Mule isn't just a guy who made some insensitive comments about another guy and his ex-girlfriend. No, he's an abuser, or at a minimum, an abuse apologist.
He is an abuse. So let me put it this way. I think this is a litmus test for whether or not you are a sapient person, and I think you should be able to have fucking rights to vote. If you do not believe that DJ Mule was an abuse apologist, I don't think you should have the right to vote, dude. You are an insane, you're just like, not, I'm being hyperbolic. You're not like a real sapient person to me. You're not a real human being. You just really aren't. If you watch that entire video and don't believe that it's just front to back abuse apologia, like, well, you're just sexist, I guess? You could be sexist, is I guess what we could say that. Wait, is this not a bandit? What were they shooting at? What are you? Are you duty? Oh, mercenaries! Field strip. Get the bolt out of there. UTAT suppressor. I'll take the black box suppressor. This thing has a light attached to it. USP match tactical. I'll take that. Hold on. Let's take a look. What is this thing? Can I use the tack light on it? It's a pretty cool gun, though. It's not the best looking ADS-wise, but I'll take it. I can probably deconstruct my current USP and then have it function.
Professor Flowers isn't just a person who didn't perform well in a debate with a hostile audience. They are a reverse racist who wants to genocide white people. Hassan isn't just a young, successful leftist who is just indulging in his money and fame. He's also somehow a sexual predator and everything that's wrong with the left. And Voss isn't just a guy who has some very clear racist tendencies in his analysis and regularly says offensive things because he wants to be seen as edgy. All good reasons to critique Voss. No, he's also a pedophile, a CIA agent, and sexually attracted to horses. Yes, these are real things people say about this dude.
It took a long time to kind of pull out of the
that last bit was true, though.
Negativity that
last bit was pretty true.
What was it, Augie? The Augie sphere. The Augie sphere of the early 2010s, and even to this day, it was pretty rare for negative content to not outperform neutral or positive content. And I think, but I will say that my highest viewed video ever is positive, and it's the one about Robin Williams. But by and large, the ooh, takedown, savage, that stuff does tend to be what makes people subscribe, or why people tune in. So it's if you are building your audience on algorithm pleasing anger and takedowns, and once you get to a certain point, you will want to pivot from that because it's exhausting, or you're just going to turn into full grifter. Those are the two roads.
And this is complicated and hard to talk about because I want to be clear. There is the capacity to do serious harm for people with these platforms if we don't continue to try to hold them accountable. I don't want to trivialize the serious reasons why critique and cries for accountability or even deplatforming are in many cases important. Something that came up since I first started researching for this video is that Vosh has admitted to sexually harassing at least one woman online before he was a much larger figure. And this came up because Vosh has become a leading voice on the left about talking about men's issues, and recently another figure
What? That's why that came up?
Within social media, Andrew Callahan was also accused of several incidents of sexual misconduct, and it just kind of seemed weird to have Vosh being the lead person critiquing that particular issue. And then another person who I was trying not to talk about in this video, but it seems almost inappropriate not to bring it up, a streamer named Keffels was just saying like how she wants her fans to infiltrate Black queer spaces and impersonate Black people online in order to sow distrust and destroy their online communities.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
I don't know shit about that. I kind of want to know about it. Yo, right click the toolkit and open the workbench. What are you talking about? Cypher.
You just got here. Are we spreading misinfo? Yeah, I'm doing gay ops on Tender Queers by encouraging my I'm encouraging my followers to make pick crew accounts and infiltrate Tender Queer Twitter. Because if once they catch wind of the plan that we're using pick crews to infiltrate Tender Queer Twitter, they're going to all become incredibly suspicious of pick crews and they will eat each other alive. Does it matter which pick crew? No, just use a random one. But the more diverse, the better. Like, make it like a Black butch lesbian with like, I don't know.
These are the types of issues that should be getting the most discourse around accountability. There should be clear rebukes from people within these communities to address this behavior, but as far as I can tell, it's not happening because that's not how this works. So it makes sense on some level that people harp on these issues, if not just as protective factors. I am not in every conversation around harm or even in the communities that receive the most harm online.
Oh my god,
and
I
if
extinguished it.
a major streamer carelessly advocated that Black people protesting police brutality should be shot in the street, I'd probably have a few things to say about it. But I'd also try to remain critical of wasting a ton of time trying to hold said person accountable when I don't have the power to do that and I have better things to do. If the community people come from don't demand change and restoration, then it doesn't matter.
Whoa, what the fuck? What is this? Craft menu? Yo, what? Can you really craft like anything? It looks like you can craft just about anything. This is the workbench? I thought you had to do the vice thing. So I have a bunch of FMJ shit. I need propellants, I think, for 14 FMJ rounds. I need to find out what kind of ammunition I need. Does the condition of these things matter? So like right here, I need mil-spec textiles. Oh wait, no, this is that's not like a similar thing. Like here, I need like cloth sheets, right? And like mil-spec textiles. If this has like a 1% condition, can it still work for me? Camping backpack, a backpack with considerable storage space. The inside is modified to keep water out. Popular choice among stalkers and rookies. I see, so there's a progression, a natural progression to it. Those toolkits allow you to fully repair the gun to 100%. Condition doesn't matter at all. Okay, so I need to just literally break down everything I can find then. So that's a mistake that I've been making, and I'll try and fix that mistake.
What is being said on the outside? It doesn't matter.
Wait, but how do I repair a gun fully to 100% with this? Oh. So I need a handgun repair kit to replace the parts? I see.
How many tweets, how many attack videos you...
Don't I turn this in, the basic toolkit, to... don't I turn it into the gunsmith or the technician at whatever place that I am at? Like, whatever place is, whatever place is, nearby? Like the technician that of my choosing? Is that not how that works?
You cannot change that dynamic. Max Landis just last week released another video addressing his cancellation.
For years, I had awful, messy relationships and where I was a toxic partner. And this spread to even my casual relationships. This was just about the way I treated people. I was never, you know, in the discussion about me and in public shamings, they want people to either be a sociopathic narcissist predator or a totally innocent ally. And the truth is, I'm not a sociopathic narcissist predator, but through my life, I understand why people hate me enough to say that.
And I doubt it changes anything about his situation and how he's perceived because of the community he is beholden to. I haven't followed Landis in years, so I don't know how to judge his changes since being canceled, considering that Landis
I feel like I should just keep it until I find the next kit, right? Because if that's what allows me to craft, I should probably hold on to it until I have something else to be able to craft off of, right? Like, I feel like that's probably the best choice. It's gotta be. I guess I'm walking now.
Has had more serious accusations and was already a divisive figure beforehand. I get why his numerous attempts at apologizing haven't allowed him to recover to anywhere close to where he was. And again, you're only as canceled as your next project. But I think looking at his situation kind of exemplifies the flaws of this accountability myth, in that we don't really have a developed framework for what real accountability looks like. And I'd argue that a lot of us don't care.
But I guess and do put this in because I want this to go on the record. Like, this is gonna be the last time I ever talk about this. I'm sick of talking about it. I don't want to be defined by this, and I will admit that it is absolutely my fault that this is the case. I have put myself in this position by putting it out there and not taking into consideration just how addicted to this type of drama people are, and how eager people are to just turn this into your entire personality. Like everything I did before, you know, the Twitter incident didn't really matter because it was like suddenly I could be another pawn in the cancel culture war. And like I am sick to death of people like, you know, I was at a book event like specifically for that, and there were like more than 100 people there, and we opened it up to the Q&A, and this girl in the front row asks, hey, my friend is in the process of getting canceled. What should I do? And I'm here to talk about aliens and science fiction and shit. Like, this is really inappropriate. Like, and I didn't want to upset her, but I was just like, how do I make this stop? And I feel like the only way to make it stop is like, say, don't
do it. So this is it. This is it. Never talking about it again. Tempted though I might be, because so much of my hell that I'm living through right now is predicated on bad media literacy, which is my thing. But if I keep talking about it, there's gonna be more pushback and more bad literacy and more like bad faith and more willful misinterpretation. So this is it. I am staking, my metaphor in the sand. There's no more forever after this conversation.
On that Broy Deschanel video about canceling, Landis actually left another comment basically asking, what am I supposed to do? And like, I don't have a good answer for that. And I don't think anybody does, to be honest with you. There definitely needs to be a greater discussion and investigation on what the appropriate response is to people who transgress and then submit to being held accountable that we haven't had yet. And my problem is we think we've already had it. And I want to be clear, the people I featured in this video that have problematic and sketchy pasts, the goal wasn't to launder their names or make you rethink whether or not they're being treated fairly. I don't want anyone to give Rewired Soul a pass on his toxic behavior or ignore Hassan's edginess or forgive Max Landis. I just want
Except
to
for
again
Professor
ask,
Flowers, you're
why are
wrong
we
as
like
fuck
this?
about that one.
What are
That's
we
insane.
actually doing when we leave the
insane he put
15th
that in
mean
there.
comment or tweet about a particular figure? It's not praxis. It's drama. What's probably going to be hard to swallow for some breadtube fans is that many of us are in practice apolitical and mostly experience and do politics through our consumption habits. As I said earlier, the vast majority of at least online leftists, especially in the West, did not come through organized resistance within oppressed and marginalized communities. They got it from a sociology or political science course in college. The vast majority of online leftists are not the working class proletariat. They are children of the bourgeoisie. The vast majority of the online left have never organized, protested, threw a rock, or cut a check in the name of resistance. But they got lots of tweets, lots and lots of tweets. If tweets could bring the revolution, we'd have 4 or 5 revolutions by now. Us fighting amongst each other, even the shittiest people that are deserving of a fight within our community, whether we like it or not, at this magnitude, that is not a form of resistance. And it's obvious that we're not talking politics in a lot of these spaces. We're talking drama, especially when you know certain figures thrive off the drama that they either engage in or themselves create. And on the flip side, the strongest analysis on safe and easily commodified topics in your favorite video.
Man, I think one of the biggest problems I have, as much as people like to say debate bros can't speak concisely about points, holy shit. They need to speak more concisely on their points, video essayists do. Let's take a look. Black People video, hard work is overrated.
That we are in charge of our future and that we need to work hard. There is this obsession with hard work, not only on the internet but in society in general. Especially men are told this lie. Oh, you can achieve your dreams only through hard work. Guys, I am here to tell you that hard work is extremely overrated in the scope of success in life. And only a very small part of the equation. When I say success, I mean success that makes a difference. I don't mean it as simply getting a meme degree from a community college or quitting smoking. When it comes to success that matters, hard work is pretty down on the list of things that lead to that success. But there is this unhealthy, and not only unhealthy, but delusional obsession with hard work that has major detrimental effects on young men in the long run.
Pain, the blood, the sweat, and the tears to get exactly what you need. No one can get anywhere in life without hard work.
Sorry!
Jordan said in one of his interviews, when they said, "You are unbelievable, you're the greatest basketball player of all times." And he says, "Well, you're just mentioning the successes." But he says, "For me to become the greatest basketball player, I missed 9,000 shots when I was playing basketball at the NBA games." Does it make him a failure? No. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all times, but he failed 9,000 times. Do you get it? It's all about the hard work that you put in.
Grifters on YouTube always show lifting clips and examples when they push this hard work scam on struggling young men. It is always some guy working out. It is because the entry barrier is zero. This is something you can sell to almost any man. Any fucking retard can lift weights. You know, there's a big YouTuber doing this. Self-proclaimed cult leader Hamza. By the way, of course, there are other many examples like him. I just bring him up since he's one of the bigger cults.
I didn't even know you could kill the crows.
It is funny, man. His cult is basically 14 years old, 15 years old kids who got rejected by their crush and now they are frustrated. I'm looking for an answer.
You don't want to ever come across as needy. Like, being needy is like the ugliest thing that you can do as a guy. And so many guys are needy because, well, they need love in their lives. So how do you destroy the most ugly part of you that causes you to chase after women, which is neediness? How do we destroy that? Because if you can stop being needy for girls, they will start to need you. They will start to chase you. And how do you destroy neediness? Well, there's two ways. Either one, you actually get an abundance of women actually being into you, which can take a long time. So that's something that we hopefully want to get to. But two, we can fake it. We can reprogram our mind to stop being needy and almost in a silly way make ourselves believe that we have so many women into us, which is as simple as literally just sit down and just say, I am Adonis. Women want to get with me. Women love spending time with me. I'm so attractive. I'm so funny. I'm so flirtatious.
Oh my God!
There is no core. It exploded. The core exploded.
He's in shock. Get him out of here. What does the dosimeter say? 3.6 Roentgen, but that's as high as the meter. 3.6. Not great, not terrible.
Jesus, it scared the fuck out of me. It came out of nowhere.
On the ground, in the rubble. You didn't see graphite.
I did.
You didn't. You didn't! Because it's not there!
Let me show you how generous this guy really is. This is the course he sells to young and gullible kids.
Ooh.
The 4 secrets to attract girls. Secret 1, how to become better with girls by going to the gym. Secret 2, how to become great at lifting weights and speed up your muscle building. Secret 3, how to outcompete another guy to attract the girl you want. Secret 4, how to build the kind of body that actually attracts girls. He got it all figured out, guys. You see that? 4 secrets to attract girls.
3 of them are just working out. Yeah.
All 4 of them.
And so making a girl chase you is literally as simple as you just faking your new personality to be like that guy who the girls usually chase. The thing is, you know that guy already. He's in your school, in your workplace.
I love how he wrote 4 different so-called secrets, but they're all the same gym advice. Every single one of them.
I mean, gym is pretty
Secret
cool.
3 looks a little different at first.
I'm gonna say something that I'm not sure if it's gonna be controversial or not, but I think that a lot of guys think that the amount of gym, like the kind of aesthetic that women want from the gym, the like rather muscly guy or whatever, I'm genuinely not convinced women actually want that much. I think what's more often, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, that's Renegade. What's more often happening is it's women who like that niche. Sorry, I have to focus or I'm gonna die here. Sorry. I'm gonna think that's stressful. Sorry, I think it's more often like that you're essentially getting into a niche. So like the reason why you might be doing better with women when you go to the gym, especially when you get huge after the gym, isn't because like women secretly love or like really like gym guys. It's because you're now entering an aesthetic that a lot of women like relative to the amount of women that liked your Liked your previous aesthetic. Damn! I just glitched that whole fucking camp. Did you see that? Holy shit. I just smoked the entire camp.
When you go read the description, it is also the same, just hit the gym, bro, advice. This is comedy, man. This is straight up comedy. Guys, I gotta say something. I fucking love Manosphere. You can say whatever you want, but Manosphere never fails to bring prime entertainment. When I was reading this page, I was laughing my ass off. And there's more to come, by the way. But before I show you guys how generous Hamza really is, I wanna talk about this so-called secret. Because
Nice
a lot of
maps.
guys who follow him are also obsessed with lifting weights. The idea of becoming better with girls by going to the gym is a complete and utter lie. Does being fit, having a good shape, help increase your looks levels? A little bit, yes. But even then, like, it is more about facial gains that come with lifting. You don't need to be big muscled, but just be lean. Just
Lean
have
is
low
pretty
body fat
important.
and a little defined body. That's all you need. If you play some sport or go for a run a couple times a week to stay lean, that's enough. Like, if you talk about having big muscles, it has incredibly low return on investment. I would say even your frame, your body frame, is more important than having big muscles. Sure, you can improve your muscles if you work hard enough, but even then, your genetics will play a major role in how much improvement you will see and how good you look with those muscles. Even if you do train hard, how good your body will look will also come down to your genetics.
You hear it all the time. Oh, I owe my bodybuilding to when I was growing up, playing soccer all the time, running. It allowed me to have amazing quads. No, it wasn't. It was your genetics. It just happened to be that because you looked so amazing that your muscles grew while running. Whether you're playing basketball, badminton, cycling, whatever, if you end up with amazing looking muscles, it's because of your genetics. Of course, the training that you did helped, but ultimately, it's down to your genetics.
And the reason why this whole concept has such a low return on investment is this. In business, this is simply called entering a red ocean. Red ocean is a metaphor for a market that is already saturated, where you have to brutally compete against many other competitors for a limited existing demand. Since there are so many competitors in an already saturated demand, the competition, the battle for the limited demand.
People always ask me if hitting the gym helped get more girls. I always answer yes, but not in the way I thought it would. What is your answer for that, actually, out of curiosity? Because I would say my body has undergone a pretty significant transformation to be able to do it, and I would say it really hasn't helped me at all. It's helped with the women who are already attracted to me, like me more. Like, the women who like me tend to like my body. Like, they tend to say that I'm very physically attractive, but it's not like it hasn't helped me get any opportunities I didn't otherwise already have. And I think that's primarily what is being looked for. It's not like, hey, I can get a girlfriend and I want her to like me more, so like, would hitting the gym help? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, probably. Generally fit, lean people or whatever, but like, unless you're like overweight, if you're overweight, hitting the gym is pretty important because, you know, it can get good, just in case you have a good jawline. Find out, even if you have a bad jawline, it might look better with you when you're slim. Who knows? I swear I had like a couple more people that I had killed, but I guess I didn't kill them. I thought I had killed some more people, but I guess not. Alright, saving. And then we're gonna walk on over.
It's so brutal, so hard. Blood turns the ocean red. Hence the name Red Ocean. It's a market where you have to come up with some unique value that others can't offer to the customer. In this case, in our case, that would be 6'4" height, or it would be your face. It would be your social status and money if you are a celebrity and have a large following.
Help me feel
you
more
either
attractive,
manage to
which
come
made
up
me
with a
feel more
unique
confident.
value that makes you stand out from the ocean of gym rats, or you simply try to cut the costs. You try to minimize your losses.
That makes sense.
In our case, this would be dumpster diving. which you see a lot of these gym-obsessed guys already do. If the entry barriers are low, the effectiveness will be poor. Guys, write this down. If something is easy to change, relatively easy to change, it doesn't make a difference that matters. Difference that matters. Because you are entering a red ocean, too many competitors, you know, market is already saturated, very few exclusivity, and that exclusivity comes down to face, height, or frame. Even frame, let alone height. Even frame is going to play a bigger, more crucial role than muscles and cuts. Because body frame is going to signal genetic quality.
Don't ever get up.
And the comedy goes even further when you look at what he sells. The dude is like, I'ma tell you how to pick a gym. Let me calculate, that is $2,754. Let me deduct taxes. I love how he puts a specific number to make it look legitimate. Not 50, but 45. Not 200, but 197. For example, there is this invite to get trained by Hamza, but when you go to the item detail, it is just him revealing which gym he works out at. There is no getting trained by him. Some of these are straight up comedy, man. Don't spill your gains, fapping guide, 200.
What?
Convince your parents protein is healthy, package, 100. Shortlist picture guide, 500. And this is my favorite, by the way, get some ass masterclass.
Get some ass,
man.
Jesus
and the total
Christ.
value of this, $19,000. And let's see how much he is charging. Yes, only 500. 500 for how to convince your parents protein is healthy. Yo, man, this guy is hustling underage kids. And again, a precise number to make it sound legitimate. Not 500, but 487. Look how generous he is, guys. How many girls am I willing to miss out on? Isn't it time I try something new? By something new,
Yeah, it sounds like
means
it's time
weights,
to me.
by the way. Oh wow, man. So new. Such groundbreaking advice, bro. Learn from someone who has actually got the success I want. Do I really want another girl I like to ghost me? And a lot of underage kids fall for this, sadly. You know, I have been there myself when I was 17. I mean, I never fell for this kind of scam, but I was gym selling religiously at the time for about 6 years.
Gym
In my
selling?
college
6
years, I was
years?
a religious gym rat. I was at a point where I was considering hopping on trampoline and testosterone. Because after some point, it was so difficult for me to make natural progress without losing my cuts and veins. I wanted to get even bigger, but I didn't want to lose my cuts and definition. At the end, I decided to not do trampoline, but I know what it feels like to be a gym rat. Like, it feels good. That post-workout endorphin hits different, man. But at the end of the day, guys, it makes very little, negligible difference for your dating market value. Because there are plenty of other guys doing this already.
Anything is possible. Never give up. God's got a plan for you.
This is what I want
Jesus
Hamza followers
Christ.
to understand. This guy is setting you up for disappointment and a lot of wasted time and effort to make money off you. Guys like Hamza are selling you the idea of a new life because he knows.
How do I
yours
get these
sucks.
threads?
And what is sad is that a lot of those kids who follow him aren't going to make it. Vast majority of them are not. They will try and try and try and do everything in their power. They will delude themselves, just like he literally tells them to, but they will fail all the same. Then they will blame themselves. This is why Hamza is
Hideout
doing
furniture?
a disservice. to
Portable
those
workshop?
kids. A lot of 15 years old in his Discord server. I am not even gonna show their pictures. Those kids who are 5'6", 5'7", or a legit 3 in the face. Those guys are just wasting their time and money. They don't have the looks, and no amount of weightlifting will make them
Just
physically
buy them from
attractive.
technicians.
Vast majority of them will end up working normal jobs. They won't be money and status maxed. No matter what they do, they will never attract the girls they want. And after spending their youth alone, they will end up marrying their post-prime looks match, which won't be something to look at. No matter how much they live, no matter how many cold showers they take, this is the script, life script they won't be able
Damn,
to change.
this thing is pretty good.
They will have to find this out the hard way. But Hamza doesn't care, because he wants to sell his course, of course. One of the things I have heard them say is that, and there are some correct statements sprinkled in between. You gotta remember, guys, when someone is trying to tell you a lie, they will always package it with some truth in it.
Maybe you've not been told this, but this is so important. Listen, success is all based on dominating other people.
This is 100% true. I agree. And this is precisely why his whole rhetoric to hustle sexually frustrated teenagers will not be successful. It is all about beating your competition, not necessarily about being good at it. They teach you this, by the way, and you experience this yourself in work life pretty quickly. Success is really not about being good at what you do, but rather just being better than your alternatives. Imagine being a lion who runs at 50 miles.
I wouldn't even argue that. I mean, what he said is kind of true, but this isn't even really true. It's not even about being better than your... Oh my god, an SVD, huh? It's not even about being better than your competitors. It's about being perceived as better than your competitors. That's what it's about. It's not even about actually being better. It's often not, in my opinion. It's not about being actually a good person or actually a great person to be. It's just people think that you are, and that's enough. That's all that really matters when it comes to what people want, which is getting in their foot in the door. Sustaining it is an entirely different question. And even for jobs, I think you can sustain, you know, jobs even if you're like really shit at it, if you know, just are like charismatic. But yeah, I don't know. The oh Jesus Christ, that is a horrible condition gun. Yeah, no, I think the perception is reality, really. For a lot of these things, I think perception is reality.
Per hour, but you are living in a land with scarce food to hunt on, and there are 100 other prides. And then imagine being a lion who runs at 30 miles per hour instead of 50, but you are the member of the only pride in the land, with tons of prey to hunt. There is plenty of water, plenty of food. Which one is going to be more successful? This point is exactly why hard work is overrated and nowhere near as important as all these grifters and motivational speakers on the internet tell you. The same goes for his cliche money advice, like arbitrage e-commerce, dropshipping. The enter barrier is zero. You are entering a red ocean. The effect of hard work will be negligible when it comes to getting a proper return on all the time and effort you will have to put. Hard work, sure, hard work long enough and you might indeed reach a certain point, but all that hard work can easily return in nothing if there are simply too many competitors with the same qualities. And then there's another aspect to this. It is a multidimensional issue. There has to be a demand that meets...
I do want to sell the PDAs, but I thought selling it to specific factions mattered. I want to sell it to Clear Sky. I want to sell these PDAs to Clear Sky. I don't know for sure if it matters who you sell it to, but... Woo, baby! Fuck off. Body is nothing useful. Body is nothing useful. Oh, there it is.
Meets or exceeds supply. Your value and therefore success is based on these, not hard work. When you want to buy a product, do you consider how much people who made it worked for it? Do you care if it is made in 1 day or 1 month? Or do you consider how much value and uniqueness that product is going to bring to you? Working smart is much more important than working hard. If the hard work is not effective, it literally means nothing. The work has to be effective. It doesn't need to be hard. You always measure.
I agree. I mean, there's a saying, and it's really fucking true, and I've known this through my history of playing Dota 2. This is the most true thing of the world. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And it's just so true. Beating your head against the wall and just working hard with no real, like, direction is going to result in you, like, failing. It's just how it's going to work. It's not going to result in some cataclysmic success or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. No shot, no how.
the return on investment. A single rhinoplasty will be much more effective than all those retarded lifting weights for years stuff. If you are really talented in a field and beat your competition by talent, and then you work smart and hard, that is when hard work counts. Talent without hard work will always be more important and more effective than hard work without talent, simply because of scarcity. Most important factor governing your success in life are your looks, first and foremost. Looks are a better indicator of social economic status than the education level of parents. Let that sink in. Then family and environment.
Wait, what?
You were born in.
Does perceived physical attractiveness in adolescence predict better socioeconomic position in adulthood? Evidence from 20 years of follow-up than the education level of your parents? I'm very interested in seeing whatever info that is. Oh shit. Because I don't feel like that would be true. Yeah, I just don't feel like that'd be very true.
Opportunities are everything in life. How many smart and hardworking kids end up amounting to nothing in poor and underdeveloped countries? You gotta be lucky in this life, man. Luck is everything. That's why I like Ahrelevant character. He has that famous line, "This life is cruel. In a cruel world like this, the only morality is luck." It really is. The only morality of this world we live in is luck. Pure, sheer, blind luck.
Does it bother you that so many people are happy to see you fail?
Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow, have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems that they had today. And I'm going to continue to live the way I want to live and continue to do the things that I want to do with me and my family and be happy with that. So, they can get a few days or a few months or whatever the case may be on being happy about not only myself, but the Miami Heat not accomplishing their goal, but, they got to get back to the real world at some point.
Even your birthday plays a major role. Kids who are born in January are 4 times more likely to be a professional hockey player than kids born in September or November. They are taller and more developed compared to the other kids in the same class. 10 months makes a major difference when you are 8 years old. They get more attention, more positive feedback, coaches spend more time with them. This small difference snowballs to much bigger effects later in life. This positive feedback loop really extends to other aspects of life as well. It often ends up shaping who you become.
That's actually so fucking interesting of a thought. That if you like time when your kid is going to be born, you could maximize the probability that they're grown in the grade that they are. They'll be older. That's a very interesting concept, to give them a higher probability of like being farther along in puberty, being more developed and getting better benefits in their school life. That's actually really interesting. That's something to think about for sure.
As a person, when you grow up with positive reinforcement, you naturally have high self-confidence and you develop a habit of hard work because you grow up reaping the benefits of your work early on. It becomes a habit. For example, as a result of getting good grades or becoming successful in sports at your youth, you will be more likely to be motivated and continue that work ethic in later stages of life. It is like dominoes, one move triggers the next. How are you going to be motivated when you don't reap the benefits of your work? There's this experiment where researchers throw rats into a bottle of water and then save them at the last second before they drown. The rats who got rescued last 60 times longer than the rats who hadn't been rescued before. If you are someone who was born with good looks, grow up with positive feedback, of course you are gonna believe in working hard, because you know, and you know this from experience, that hard work leads to success. And then those people think, oh, I have worked hard, man, that is why. You will never see them acknowledge how lucky they have been along the way. Of course it is gonna be easy to...
I think this guy is actually explaining it in a way that actually does make some kind of sense. Just essentially that that there's people, I think he's boiling it down a little bit too much to looks, though. I would say there's a million different things that would influence this, but yeah, like if your hard work isn't rewarded because of various socioeconomic or whatever factors, social factors, you are going to be less likely to work hard as a result, because it's just not seen as well. Whereas if you're in a good socioeconomic place where your hard work is rewarded every time you've done it, you're more likely to work hard. That does make sense.
Motivate yourself to work hard and not fall into a crippling depression in your crucial formative years, when you face positive reinforcement everywhere you go. And then after the family and environment you grow up in, your IQ comes to play, which is also luck. Only after these crucial factors hard work comes into play. Hard and effective work. By the way, there have been studies suggesting that even hard work could be partially linked to genetics. There is literally a gene linked to it. Guys, you have to be realistic with your opportunities, and you gotta stop blaming yourself. You gotta stop blaming yourself, brother. This applies to almost every avenue of life, whether it is looks maxing, whether it is financial success in life, whether it is dating life. Most of your life is determined by factors out of your control, and what hard work can achieve is very limited in this frame. I know people often bring up examples of some famous star who was born poor, or someone who beat the odds and became very successful despite all the odds. They almost always bring up the most extreme examples, but leave out the vast majority of cases. They always use this apex fallacy and survivorship bias to gaslight you. The main takeaway I want you guys to leave this video with is be realistic and focus on your work being effective, not hard. And I will see you guys in the next one.
I mean, I think the overall message isn't bad, that you should work effectively and not hard. I think the overall message is fine. Yeah. I just think he focuses a little bit too much on the looks. That's it, really. A little bit too much on the looks. I'm about to roll up into town, get paid. Drop all of this shit. I have 70 kilos of stuff that I feel is actually kind of necessary to hold on to. Like, the least necessary things are the things, the slabs of meat, and maybe some of these. I don't really understand what I need to keep of those and not what not, but I'm too close to drop it at this point. I'm right here. I'm about to go right in there and put it all down. Yeah, I agree with the work smarter, but I feel like the video focuses a lot on Doomer fuel. I mean, that's what he is. He's black-pilled. He's rather Doomer-esque about, like, the world. Very fatalistic. You either are a have or a have not. You're not going to be happy. If this kills me, I'm going to freak out. Okay. Very fatalistic about the way that the world works. Let's see. Damn, that ammo weighs a lot. I think I hold on to those. Don't hold on to this. Don't hold on to those. I don't want to hold on to any of this right now. Oh shit, this thing has a limited carry capacity too. Okay. All right. Let me save it up. All right. Boom. Okie dokie. I gotta go to the gym. I got some like stuff to do. Obviously, I want to record the YouTube video. Later today, I'm gonna record the YouTube video. Probably today. Yeah. I don't know when I'll have it edited and released, but I want to record it today, and we'll see how that works. Okay. All right. I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be fun and funny. The goal is to make it like only like 5 or at most 10 minutes, but I want to make it between 5 to 8 minutes long. I want to have like all of my YouTube videos be under like 8 or 9 minutes. All of them. Every one of them. I think I'm able to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about now in a brief way. Streaming has helped me like formulate my thoughts, my thought process. I want to use YouTube to challenge me for brevity, to be able to articulate my points in an incredibly short period of time. So I want to do that. The dream is to be able to get videos that are like 2.5 minutes long, 2 minutes long. Oh my God, that'd be so great. That's supposed to be the idea. Is talking about things incredibly quickly. All right, you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow, yeah?